What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Brewery, and they're out of Placentia, California, and this is their Vermont Sticky Maple. So they're calling this an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with maple syrup and natural flavor added. Comes in at 11.3% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. I have no idea how old this can is because there is no can-down date. I did pick this up, I believe, back in mid-September on my trip to Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't remember if I picked it up in Cincinnati or outside of Cleveland on the way back, but I definitely picked it up in Ohio, and that was a couple months ago at the time of review, so I'd imagine that this can is at least 2 months old, probably closer to 3 or 4 months old though, honestly. So yeah, I have not reviewed a beer from the Brewery on the channel. The last beer I had from them was their bakery coconut macaroons. I actually had that the night of the Shelton Brothers Festival after drinking, you know, whatever, 30, 40 different beers. Actually, that beer was shared. It wasn't my beer. It was a friend's beer, and we shared it, and it was kind of disappointing. But after drinking so many crazy beers and just having your palate destroyed, I would like to try that again on a fresh palate. But when I saw this one back in mid-September, I was like, I'm going to grab it. You know, I haven't reviewed anything from the Brewery. We get very limited distro of the Brewery's beers here in the West New York area. So yeah, I was going to give it a go. I mean, maple syrup, bourbon barrels, 11.3%. Sign me up. It's in a can. Let's go. So, let's give it a pour here. Oh yeah, it's pouring out like maple syrup. Oh man, motor oil all day. Definitely super thick. We're just going to go like that. Not trying to get crazy here on camera yet. I mean, yet. All right, so that looks beautiful. That, one of the best looking Imperial Stouts in a glass that I've seen in a while. Pitch black in the glass. Poured out more of like a really deep dark brown, but pitch black in the glass. About a finger of this really nice, I'd say straight on brown to a little bit of a darker brown color. Super creamy looking. Legs for Dajin. Probably not going to see on the camera, but oh my god, the alcohol legs just from one swirl. Sick. Let's get a nose. Yeah, definitely the bourbon barrels coming through. Yeah, the spirit is certainly noticeable. Big bourbon booze in here. I imagine this is relatively fresh, like probably like 3 or 4 months old. I don't think this is an older can at all. Yeah, tons of bourbon, vanilla from the barrels themselves. Then the maple comes in, and the maple isn't overly sweet, but it's definitely noticeable. There's deeper dark chocolate here, more of like a sweeter Hershey's chocolate, like a dark chocolate. There's special dark chocolate as opposed to like a 40 or 50% cacao bar. Ooh, a little bit of oak tannin presence as well. And it smells sweet, but not overly so. The bourbon barrel's kind of knocking it down. There's like a nice roasty component to the Imperial Stout itself. But that vanilla and maple with that dark chocolate, man. Bourbon is definitely prominent. On the back of the can, they do mention, it says, with maple syrup from Butternut Mountain Farm, Vermont. It says Maple Sugar Company. We scoured the countryside of the Green Mountain State to find the perfect maple syrup companion to this rich barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Sticky and decadent with a subtly sweet and a big, bold mouthfeel. Serve at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is probably in like the 55 range at this point. Been on my fridge for about an hour. Yeah, it smells awesome. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. That's killer. Holy fuck, is that good. Wow. Vermont Sticky Maple. Yeah, there's a big maple component with this one. For 11.3%, this is scary drinkable. I can tell it's a bigger beer based on, you know, the flavor intensity, a slight alcohol like kick on the palate and in the chest. But I'd say like 10%. 11.3, no, this is like 9.5%, 10%. So they're hiding it quite well. It doesn't reach the 11.3% for me, but I can tell this is an Imperial Stout. It's a barrel-aged stout, and it's bigger. The body itself is lower side and medium to medium side of full body. So not quite full body, but getting close to it. So 11.3%, you might think it's a touch thin. Maybe it is a touch thin. But I don't know. I think it has enough like a thick, chewy, viscous body to it that I'm pretty happy with it. It can't get much bigger. If it did, it would be full on body, but it's very close. The mouthfeel, it has carbonation, but it's so soft, smooth, and creamy that somebody might say this is undercarbed. For me, I don't think so. I think this is perfectly carved. There's enough carbonation to let you know it is a beer. There is carbonation, but it doesn't step in the way of that silky, smooth kind of mouthfeel. And then the flavor. Right up front, that barrel hits me again. And it's like, shout out to Paul over at PA Brew News, like a peppery, like bourbon, but there's nuances and subtleties of vanilla on the edges of the palate. And then midway through the palate, chocolate and maple hit. And it just has this really nice chocolatey maple feeling middle of the palate. And then as it carries on, that residual maple sweetness carries on. But then you're left with a semi-dry finish. It still has a residual sweetness that you're probably looking for if you pick something up that's called Vermont Sticky Maple, but it's not too sweet. This is not cloying. So many of these 10, 11, 12% pastry beers or barrel-aged beers with all kinds of different adjuncts, they get to the point where they are too sweet for me. Whether they're in a 16-ounce can or a 22-ounce bomber, whatever the case may be, a lot of the times you drink them and you're like, man, 4 ounces, time out, I'm done. This one, I'm going to drink this entire can, and I don't think it's going to be too sweet by the end of it. So I give them kudos for the drinkability of this one, from hiding the alcohol, but also the lack of like a cloying kind of character to it. So yeah, this is really nice. Wow. This is actually delicious. Dare I say fucking delicious, because that's what this is. So Vermont Sticky Maple from the Brewery. I'm going to go high 4.5 out of 5. I'm going to go 4.55 out of 5. This is delicious. And when I buy a beer that says Vermont Sticky Maple and it's Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with maple syrup and natural flavor added, I don't know what that natural flavor is. Not a fan of that, but whatever. When I pick something up like that, this is what I expect. This is kind of the beer I expect. I want something that I can notice the maple syrup because it is the main adjunct. I can notice the barrel. The Imperial Stout character doesn't get lost. I didn't really mention the slight roasty character that's kind of an underlying omnipresent character to the actual taste, but it's there, like a nice roasted, almost like coffee roast too. I mean, the base Imperial Stout isn't the star of this show. It's just kind of carrying that barrel and that maple character for the ride. But the base Imperial Stout, it's a thick beer, which is nice. It's viscous, it's chewy, the body's proper, the mouthfeel's proper. So the base beer is nothing to sneeze at, but I think they do a great job with the barrel integration and the maple. So yeah, 4.55 out of 5 for Vermont Sticky Maple from the Brewery. If you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. Price and availability, here's the thing. I don't remember exactly what I paid for it. I want to say this was either $7.99 or $8.99 a can. So you're talking $8 or $9 for a 11.3% 16-ounce can of beer. Value is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, some people wouldn't pay that price. Would I buy this again? Yeah, I think I would. For $8 or $9 a can, I would buy this again. If it was 10 or more, probably not. But for under I'd say like $8 or $9 or less, I would definitely buy this beer again. It's that good of a beer. It's 11.3%. So drinking one 16-ounce can is like drinking 3 regular beers, and I think it's worth the price. So yeah, it's a damn good beer. Like I said, if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. The availability is wherever Brewery gets distribution, which I have no idea anymore. Like I said, we barely see their stuff here. But then I go on a trip to Ohio and I see this. I saw the bakery coconut macaroons, and it's just like, I don't know where they get distro anymore. So if you do see the Brewery stuff, then you probably have seen this one or will see this one. I have not seen it in my neck of the woods here in Western New York, but hopefully someday, because if they're kicking out beers like this on the reg, I'm into it. I've had like their Black Tuesday and beers like that, and they're delicious. They're huge Imperial Stouts that are, approaching 20%. 20% are awesome. But they also make some other really good. I like their White Oak, which was a wheat wine aged in bourbon barrels. That was delicious. A couple other beers I had from them over the past 3 or 4 years at shares and stuff. Really good stuff. I just wish I could try that bakery coconut macaroons on a fresh palate, because it wasn't fair to that beer. I think it would get like a 3.75 out of 5 on a tap. It's not really worth that. Probably, or I should say, it's worth that for what I was tasting at that point, after a huge festival and then sharing beers. But I think it's probably better than that. But who knows? Maybe I'll get my hands on a can at some point and give it a proper review. So apologize for the long rambling kind of review, but this is a really good beer, and I had a lot to say about it, like I always do, because I never stop talking. Anyway, thanks to each and every one of you for stopping by for another beer review. Till the next one. Cheers.